Right.
Thank you. .org. Another round of applause for Hélène. Mouina Boura Ali was born in Montreal, Canada. At 6 months old, she moved to Mauritia, Africa with her family, where she spent the first 10 years of her life. When she came back to Montreal, she followed the usual path. She went to school until she earned a bachelor's degree in mathematics from the Université de Montréal. She was becoming an actuary and was working in pensions plans. She became a Kundalini yoga teacher. In 2007, MS came to destroy the life as she knew it. She tried resisting and denying life for 3 years. She became a Kripalu, I've massacred that word, forgive me, yoga teacher, as yoga is her passion. Her disease became worse. She surrendered to life. She found amazing mentors. Maureen realized the MS was a gift for her because it led her to healing. Her purpose is to share the healing power of life, love, to change the perspective around MS and to help people empower themselves. She's proud to be a yoga teacher. She's proud to be an author. She's proud to be a transformational life coach. And we're really proud to have her here tonight. Please give her a warm, warm round of applause.
Welcome, beautiful people, even though I can't see you. Do you know life is alive? Well, I haven't known that for a long time. I used to be like a zombie, living in a dead world, feeling disconnected from myself, from everybody, and from life herself. I started to discover that life is alive in 2010 when I was in the hospital with my life completely destroyed by multiple sclerosis. I could not even stand up or speak. On that memorable day, I began to allow life. It was very hard, and I was so scared. But what does it mean to allow life anyway? Well, it means, first of all, to say yes to life. Yes to what is already here. For example, it could be a disaster, like it was for me in 2010. Allowing life is receiving life. Receiving whatever life brings to our doorstep. All I wanted to do back then, I wanted to deny, resist. But resistance is the opposite of allowing. Allowing life is being open for this mystery we call life. I was a mathematician, and for me, life was black or white. No mystery here. Or so I thought. Allowing life is not judging anything. Well, me back then, before, I would judge everything, including myself. First of all, me. And lastly, allowing life is being humble. And realizing that we don't control life. Life controls us. Well, me, back then, I wanted to control everything. Even try controlling other people. We know how that goes. In truth, the only thing we can control is our current conscious thought. And that's a project for a lifetime. Allowing life literally creates miracles. It taught me that I am a miracle. We all are miracles. If you don't believe in miracles, perhaps you have forgotten you were born one. In summary, life is alive, and we realize that by allowing life, meaning by saying yes to life, by receiving life, by being open for life, by not judging, and by being humble. Now, as you go back into your life, remember that you are a miracle. And when you cross the mirror, take this opportunity to give yourself a compliment, to praise yourself, and to remember the miracle that you are, and celebrate yourself. Be blessed. No.
Okay. So I am genuinely moved here. My heart is beating. I'm having like a visceral reaction here. So this moved me. Can you see me?
A
Not
bit?
so much.
A
Hi. Okay. This really moved me. So normally I would start with content and then go to delivery, but there were a few pieces of delivery here that I just want to latch onto because they were so effective. You have these gestures that work very naturally and are very powerful. You had push away life, you had come into life, you had life is alive. The way you moved your arms, like I've seen people try to do that in Toastmasters and out of Toastmasters, and they just can't pull it off. But it worked very beautifully for you, and I think it was very moving. It really added to the impact of the speech. Now, the words you used, life is alive, very inspirational words. Now, there's one thing that I always advise my clients, especially in speeches like this, is how do you gauge not what the audience is feeling, but what questions might the audience have in their minds when they're listening to you. So you shared many beautiful inspirational words coupled with the gestures, however, you touched upon your story of what happened in 2010, and then you said, I couldn't talk, I couldn't move, but then here you are, talking and moving. And so for me, in my head, and I'm thinking maybe it's not just me, so I ask, what is the audience thinking? The audience is thinking possibly what I'm thinking is, what happened? How did you get from there to where you are now? And for me, that's a big piece that I'm left going, oh crap, I really wish you could have told us. So my suggestion here is because there was a lot of repetition in your inspirational words, life is alive, and so you could have cut down some of the inspirational words, and the story itself could have been used as a source of inspiration, because I think there was probably magic in the story, and there must have been, to have taken you from not speaking and not walking to walking out here and speaking as beautifully as you did. And somewhere along the line, had we known and understood that the progression of that story, that would have been equally or even more inspirational than the words. So there is space for your words, but pull them back a little bit and share more of your story, because I think there's got to be a lot of magic in there that will add more context, even more context to the words. Thank you very
Susanna.
much.
as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to differ a little bit with my dear friend.
That so doesn't happen often on
No.
the judges panel.
What you just did was an example of perfection in structure. So I knew where you were going. You launched the Allow Life, and as soon as you said Allow Life, I said to myself, I wonder what that means, and what was the next thing you said? Well, what does that mean? You gave us 5 things that meant, and I had no issue with you repeating them at the end because there were 5 things in 5 minutes, and you repeated them. So to build on Susanna's comment, I almost felt like the story of what got you from there to here was a whole other, you had 5 minutes, was a whole other keynote. So what I would have done is said something like, you were talked about not being able to move or talk. Fast forward, which is a great line, fast forward 5 years, 7 years, whatever it has been, and here I am standing in front of you today, moving and talking. And if you give a pause there, the audience will break out in applause. And you say you want to know more, don't worry. I know you want to know the story, but I don't have a lot of time today. Hold on. At the end of the, I'm going to give you a link where you can go and find out the rest of the story. You'll get their email address and you'll be golden. So I loved it. If I could make one small suggestion, no, but I'm going to make it anyway.
Yes, please.
You come on stage and you talk, and obviously you talk in a way that is a little different than those of us who have not suffered MS talk. I would find a way to insert a subtle self-deprecating something at the beginning that gives the audience permission to laugh or even to chuckle or to smile, because once you do that in the first 30 to 40 seconds, everybody goes, oh, it's okay. But without that, for the 5 minutes, we're thinking, oh my God, this is such a struggle for, and so I would just relieve that tension in the first 40 minutes. But other than that, for me, perfection.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Lauren?
My first comment is of the presenters we've had this evening, as phenomenal content as we've seen. I think this is the first, I stand to be corrected, or sit to be corrected, that this was a story from start to finish. There was no filler, there was no setup per se, there was no ancillary stories to, it was right in. And I'm a little bit partial to that kind of thing. Doesn't make it right or wrong, it just means that with all the competitive speakers that are out there, one thing that will separate you more than anything else is the story you tell. So I want to congratulate you on that and encourage you to keep up with that. Another comment, I don't know that this is feedback or not, but you talked about miracles several times. And I got a little tingly, a little emotional inside when you were talking about the humility that goes with living with the illness, having to confront the fact that you denied and you resisted, and then, well, hey, that didn't work. I might as well be open to it and see where the journey takes me. And then you said something that really struck me, which was about the other person. You may not, I think you said this, you may not believe in miracles, you, and so for the atheists in the crowd, you gave us permission to still follow the journey and buy into your story without having any quasi-religious spiritual component to it, which I thought was really exciting. And that led me to think that you, and I don't mean this facetiously, and I don't mean this how it may sound, you are the miracle in this story, from how you come out to what you leave us with. And I would love to see, maybe not in the title of your talk, that might be a little over the top, but if you can weave in to your message and leave us with the indelible impression that, wait a second, she doesn't have to hit us over the head with being humble and the importance of just embracing life in the face of all these obstacles. Look at me, I have lived it, I have breathed it with difficulty, and yet here I am, because that was the word I wrote down. I said, you are the miracle. I don't have to think about miracles. You are it, without even having said it. So let me just see if there was anything else before we move on. Excuse my light. And the intro, even the intro was spot on. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Well done. Thank you for being here. All right, at this point we are down to our final speaker, and I will reiterate the fact that we have a challenge launched to each of you, whether it's a passion project or a corporate